So Sonic Racing Cross Worlds came out this weekend, and I took some time to give the game a spin and figure out just what the meat and potatoes of this game was. And after giving it its due course, I can happily say walking away from it, I'm given the very strong impressions that this is going to be the perfect Mario Kart alternative for a long time to come. Hello everybody, I'm 32X, your local video game variety channel, giving you today all things informational. Today's topic, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. As a quick disclaimer for this video, the opinions you're about to hear are mine and mine alone. If something I do end up saying is the sentiment you're hearing echoed across the internet, please be rest assured, these are just purely coincidences. One final thing worth mentioning, all the footage you are seeing on screen is from the Nintendo Switch 1 version of the game. As of making this video, the Switch 2 version is not out yet, nor a Switch 2 edition upgrade pack, so we had to settle. Supposedly, the Switch 2 edition, the upgrade pack itself, will be out this holiday 2025, and the physical edition, not a game keycard for Switch 2, will be sometime early 2026. Now, neither Sonic nor Sega are strangers to racing games, and that sentiment is more prevalent in seeing how Cross Worlds has turned out. Previously, we had the not-so-beloved Sonic Team Racing that, while it did try something new encouraging team-based gameplay, didn't set the world on fire as they probably had hoped. This time around, we're back to the typical 3-lap races with no teams, but there are team-based gameplay modes if you so wish. But what spices this up a little bit more is now the new Cross Worlds abilities in the races, in which after lap 1, you can choose between a pre-selected course or a randomized one depending on which side of the track you're on to mix things up for your second lap, before then coming back to the original course one last time to complete a race. Usually, we've gotten accustomed to a lot of games having upwards of 4 tracks in a Grand Prix. What's a welcome change of pace this time around is that instead of a true 4th course for the finale to any Grand Prix mode, is instead doing one more lap around each of the 3 courses you've done so far. And to quickly address the elephant in the room, no, this game is not a one-to-one Mario Kart just using Sonic characters and locales, but instead a very fundamentally different game that provides a unique experience that people can flock to away from the Red Plumber. The most distinct feeling of which that I can point to really cement the feeling is Mario Kart, you're always pressing the gas and just going top speed, using drifts and tricks and the like to go that much faster, items and chaos along the way, yippee skippy. Sonic Cross Worlds, however, has the racing game feeling of not always needing to press and hold the gas in order for you to make the most optimal route throughout the course. In fact, there's a lot of instances just going max speed and then trying to drift, you might find yourself colliding into walls because you don't have enough space on the track to go around. So in the meantime, you're encouraged to just let off the gas a little bit here or there, use your drift to carry you with all the momentum you've built previously, and then let go going at an even better speed as you round the curve. And no, it's not going to be that complicated for anyone that remembers what racing games are like in the arcades. There is no means of needing to switch through multiple gears in order to optimally go about a course. In other words, think of this as the middle ground between a truly fantasy racing game like Mario Kart and the more realistic ones like you would see with the Grid series. Moving things along, we do have the ability to customize cars instead of every character having a fixated one that you can give some modifications to for different statistics. Now, without getting too deep into the nitty-gritty, I did tinker around with it a bit to get a feel for it. And while you can, all things considered, get cars that are very much correlated to a specific character and not do anything really crazy with them, there's a lot of variety in what you can do, as well as, customizing in general. Looking through the tags and emblems that you can make for yourself, I do get a little curious what I'll see when I start playing online much more as other players begin to unlock things throughout the game. Speaking about unlocks, you do have the typical earn more racetracks as you can get through the Grand Prix, but you also have a couple additional characters, some alternative skins for certain ones, and of course, the tried and true currency system of the game that are the Donpa tickets. You get these by doing a variety of things in the races, such as how many rings you get, how many people you hit with items, your placement, how many red rings you got, etc. You can exchange these for a couple of different things, namely the customizable car parts, whether that be your wheels, the front side of your car, the back side, sound effects, an aura, and some other little flourishes here and there such as player titles and emblems that you can apply to your car. I was personally a little bit worried hearing we would have customizable cars, as that's typically not my cup of tea when it comes to racing games. But after playing around with it, I can happily say it's not so complex that I feel out of the water and having to spend an unhealthy amount of time editing cars just to get an optimal build to play online. Speaking of online, I'll mention two things. One, the game does feel a little bit different compared to the open network tests, at least to me. When I played that prior to the game's launch, I was kind of worried as I felt like the game was very slippery. I didn't feel like I was able to round any corners just turning naturally and instead had to always rely on drifting. But realizing now after playing the full game, that was just all initial impressions, and I can happily say the rest of the game is much better, and that thing about turning, while that's still very much true, it goes in back to what I said earlier about knowing to just let off the gas every once in a while. For those that don't much care about doing all the Grand Prix and unlocking things organically and just want to play online and have some fun with their peers, online is a very satisfying thing, and it goes quick, it's frantic, and I'm sure you can probably find a number of videos of people just doing wild builds to just mess with people. To anyone worried if they'll get dominated online, I'll say this. You can unlock a lot of things by playing the game naturally, such as the ability to have more gadgets that give you things like the ability to do more tricks frequently, give you better speed at the start of a race, start you with a particular item, and so forth. You do not start with the ability to have access to all of these, and it's only after playing the game over a period of time that you'll unlock them as you go. While that holds true for the bulk of the online player experience, I can't imagine that'll be there for very long, so for anyone who thinking they're going to wait on this game, I would say get on it sooner than later if you want to feel the most at ease with it. I very much see this as a game that can snowball depending on how filled the lobbies are with the player population as time goes on. I'm hoping between the ranking system as well as how stretched out the DLC's expansions are going to be, that it won't be as bad, but these games never really last forever online until it comes down to a core player experience, unless it just pops off that hard. While I enjoyed online in the game's final release myself, I could see somebody brand new playing the game months from now being absolutely dominated if the player population ever dwindles. Not all is lost though, as this game does give you the ability to host private matches, as well as the ability to have a group of friends, upwards to 4, to play online. Local play is of course there, like any racing game, you can have up to 4 friends doing a variety of races, and outside of Grand Prix mode, there is another mode in the game that allows you to do different challenges where you compete in teams of 4, doing things like aiming for first place, all the while getting the most rings as possible. Once your team collects enough rings, they all get shields and boosts, and it's just a crazy time. This game mode I'm referring to, as well as all the ones you're seeing on screen now, are known as the Race Park modes. In Race Park mode, at first you'll be given rival teams you can go up against, and if you manage to beat them 3 times, you'll unlock new cars that you can use then on. Race Park also gives you the ability to have things such as custom mode, where you can do things like adjust the game speed, if there's teams, how many rounds, the computer difficulty, items, etc. I didn't mess around with these modes too much while making this review, but I did want to point it out while it was there. On top of all of this, because the game is crossplay, we do have friend codes returning once again to help you find your friends that are playing across multiple systems. While making this video, I did play PS5 to Switch 1, and the experience felt relatively smooth. That said, the Switch 1 version of the game I do notice looking a little crunchy in certain areas, but that's just overall when playing the game offline by myself. Moving on top of all that, you also have the typical time trials mode, which is pretty self-explanatory, as well as a series of in-game challenges that net you things like player titles and emblems that you can use to decorate your car with. These range from things like winning every Grand Prix, winning X amount of matches in certain game mode types, as well as using particular gadgets X amount of times in a race. It can come off as busy work, sure, but the way the game is designed is very quick and frantic with its online mode to boot, so it doesn't really feel like any of that sounds like anything that'll take you too long unless you are just playing by yourself offline. The online matches don't necessarily require you to do Grand Prix or anything. You go into a lobby, you're given your choice of 3 racetracks and then a random option. The players all vote for one is selected, the race is over, and then after that, you just get the choice of changing your vehicle, your character, returning to the main menu, etc. So you can get through a lot of races and earn a lot of prizes very quickly without having to do full traditional Grand Prix every single time. One final thing I do want to mention real quick while I'm here is that there is a jukebox mode in the game in which you can listen to various tracks that you unlock throughout the course of your time playing, but not only this, it goes a step further and gives you the option to manually select what song plays, and these can be mixed and matched in any way or order. I didn't make use of this feature myself, but felt it was worth mentioning. With that being the last of all the core features I felt were worth mentioning for this game, I give Sonic Racing Cross Worlds a 9 out of 10. The game is off to a wonderful launch, and I only hope it improves from here. If you've listened to me ramble this entire time, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you hadn't, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.